What is up, guys? I'm Hubsmash, and welcome to Overwatch and my explanation of Overwatch's competitive mode. Let's start with a brief history and summary of competitive play. Competitive play saw its first light in Overwatch beta, but was criticized due to its grindy nature. It was fairly easy to climb the ranks, providing you put the time into it. And the overwhelming feedback that Blizzard received was that people wanted to know what their actual skill was and how they stacked up against others. That's what the new and improved competitive mode seeks to accomplish. On June 28th, competitive mode launched on the PC platform, and with consoles a few days behind, the Xbox One competitive released on June 30th and July 1st for PS4. Players compete in 6v6 matches on Control, Escort, Assault, and Hybrid maps, and some additional scoring adjustments and modifications to the way sudden death occurs are implemented, and I'll go over that a little bit later. You need to be level 25 or higher to participate, and you need to finish 10 placement matches before you'll be placed in a ranking. And don't worry, you can still group with your friends if you've finished your placements and they haven't. On top of competing and earning skill rank, unique rewards are available for participating in competitive play. Finishing your placement matches gets you a spray and player icon, and winning matches will provide you with competitive points that you can use to buy cosmetic golden weapons. It's purely cosmetic though, so don't worry. The golden guns are no more effective than their normal counterparts. You're not going to see the one-shots like from the N64 GoldenEye golden gun. Bad joke. And a lot of people probably haven't even played that game. Anyway, at some point during the season, Blizzard's going to also activate a top 500 leaderboard for each platform. There are some unofficial leaderboards and stat tracking sites that I like to use as well. I'll put some links in the description. Speaking of leaderboards and stats, let's talk about skill rating a little bit. Once you complete your 10 placement matches, you'll be given a skill rating between 1 to 100. Higher values indicate a greater skill level. Skill ratings will rise and fall as you win and lose matches, and the number correlates with your MMR, which is hidden. If you're familiar with Dota or League of Legends or things like that, there's a hidden MMR, or in cases like Dota, it's not hidden, but the idea is that your MMR is probably a bigger number, and Blizzard, to simplify the way that the skill rating looks and to make it, I guess, more appealing, they've made it the 1 to 100 just to keep it simple. So instead of having a 3,500 MMR, like it's just easier to digest as a 1 to 100 number, which is why they've done it that way. So the MMR ultimately feeds that 1 to 100 rating. There are many factors that influence the amount of skill rating you gain or lose for a match. I'll go into a little bit of speculation here because Blizzard hasn't really officially released all of this information, but I've spent a bunch of time in competitive, and I've read everything that I could find about it, and also looked at all the dev talks and all those different things. And this is what I believe to be the case. So I'll talk about it here, but take it with a grain of salt because it could be a bit off. It could be a bit wrong. The first and most important factor is whether or not your team is favored to win or if you're the underdog. This means there's a difference in your team's skill rating average. Also, to keep in mind, because the numbers 1 to 100 are derived from your MMR, which is a much bigger number, you can have two teams with a 55 average. There's no decimal points, remember. So you can have two teams with a 55 average, but actually because the MMR behind is bigger, there could be a discrepancy still between the two. You could be 55.1 versus 55.9, which could mean that there's a discrepancy and you still have an underdog and you still have a team that's favored to win. If your team is the underdog and you win, you're going to receive more points. If you lose the game as the underdog, you'll lose less points because the loss was expected. If you lose as the favored, you're going to lose more points because you should have won the game. The game also takes into account your individual performance by comparing your performance with how other players perform on that map with those heroes, etc. So if you're favored to win and also have a really bad game, like you're dying more than usual, you're not killing or taking objectives, you could stand to lose more rating than you would have if you had simply lost the game but performed fairly well. Hopefully more info will come out on the specifics of the calculation and all those details, but for a lot of reasons, Blizzard's probably going to keep this fairly in the dark, just give us a general idea of what's going on, which they've already pretty much done. Let's talk about seasons now. So seasons will follow the same seasons as the Northern Hemisphere follows. So we're going to have 4 seasons per year. We're going to have spring, summer, fall, and winter as expected. Each season is going to be 2.5 months in length, and we'll have a 2-week off season. The current season actually started in June, like summer started in June, right? Because of that, the first summer season is going to be a shorter duration, and then the rest of the seasons, and it's going to end on August 18th, with the fall season presumably is going to start at the beginning of September. Let's get into the game modes and what the match format looks like, because there's been a little bit of changes here for the competitive mode. So for control maps that are also known as King of the Hill are basically best of 5. They were best of 3 in quick play, but now they're best of 5, and the first team to score 3 points wins. So that's a really straightforward one. The escort and hybrid escorts and assault gets a little bit more complicated in how the match layout works. So for escort and hybrid escort maps, the attacking team is awarded a point for each capture point that's taken, and each team has an opportunity to play a round on attack and a round on defense. If both of the rounds end without the payload reaching its destination, the team that pushed it the furthest wins. On Kings Row, Nimbani, and Hollywood, which are the hybrid maps, if neither team takes the first point or the final score is tied, the match enters sudden death. And we'll talk more about sudden death in a little bit. Assault maps are fairly similar to the way escort maps are handled. Each team plays an offensive round and a defensive round, and the team with the most points after the round wins. However, if the first team doesn't capture the first point, the second round will end as soon as the second team captures the first point when they're attacking. If the score is tied after the first 2 rounds, each team plays a round on offense, but this time they don't play with the standard forming clock. They play with whatever time was remaining on the clock at the end of their previous attacking round. If one of the teams has no time remaining, they do not play an additional round. Additionally, if either team had less than 2 minutes left on the clock during the previous attacking round, their times increase to 2 minutes, but it will be their last offensive opportunity. When either team runs out of time, the team with the higher score will win the match. If both teams are tied with no time remaining, the match enters sudden death. And so now let's talk about sudden death. Now, this has been a point of contention in the community. The community at large doesn't like the coin flip mechanic, which I'll talk about in a second. And they're going to be changing it probably. But anyways, let's explain it. The mechanics themselves are pretty straightforward. For now, this is what we have. A coin flip occurs, and a single round's played with one team on offense and the other team on defense. If the attackers capture the first point before the time runs out, they win. Otherwise, the defenders take home the victory. It should be noted that due to the large degree of feedback and criticism sudden death has received with the coin flip, you can expect to see some big changes probably at the beginning of the fall season or in the off-season, the summer off-season. And the summer season ends on August 18th, so probably between August 18th and right before the September season starts, that's probably when you're going to see the bigger changes to this coin flip mechanic and that kind of thing. I hope that helps clear up the competitive mode in Overwatch. I've been having an absolute blast with it. I love it to pieces. I just love it. If you guys like this video, found it helpful, click that like button and consider subscribing. It really helps with the channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and take care.
Everyone, stick together. We can do this.
You hear that?
No one can hide from my
Fire
sight.
at will.
I've got you in my
10 seconds.
Come on, everyone. Just a little bit longer.
N'est-ce pas? Death becomes you. No one can hide from my sight. Watch yourself.
I've got you in my sights.
Round 1 complete. Score 0-2. Switching sides. Prepare to attack.
I will protect the innocent.
That's how you get tonight. That's how you get tonight. It is time to act.
I always dreamed of being stationed here.
Yeah, let's move it, people.
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
What are you looking at?
Five, four, three, two, one. Attack commencing. Escort the payload.
Moving to payload. Join.
Move to the beat.
Get back!
Yeah, pick it up.
Right on target. Let's keep the payload moving.
Marked by the dragon.
Back online.
Pump up the volume.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Raising the volume.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
I always get my
Watch out for that turret!
Keep the payload in motion. There is no
enemy turret down.
Check! Enemy turret ahead!
Justice reigns from above.
in my sights.
The payload is approaching its destination.
Moving to payload. Join.
Helden sterben nicht. Огонь по готовности. Heroes never die. Fire at will. Back online.
I have taken the payload.
Team kill. Victory. Play of the match.
most enjoyable.